Another day, another engine fault code on the Ram. This time it's a P0335 error code, which is crankshaft position sensor. You may recall that I replaced both my crankshaft sensor and camshaft sensor nearly 2 years ago when I rebuilt the top end of said truck. So why has it failed? Probably because I bought a cheap Chinese part. So this time I did the right thing and I bought another cheap Chinese part. Before you roll your eyes, shake your head and jump down my throat, there is method to my madness, which I'll explain in a little bit. Crankshaft position sensor on this 2010 Ram Hemi is down here, under there, just above the oil pan in front of the transmission. I'm currently waiting for the part to arrive, so while we're waiting, I will explain my logic in buying cheap parts. Right, if you're a shade tree mechanic like me, you probably use something like this to do all your engine diagnostics. $50 generic scan tool from Amazon or Walmart even. Problem with this sort of thing is it only gives you a very limited range of codes, and sometimes when it does give you the code, it's not actually the right code. It'll give you a choice of codes. Generally it's nonsense, don't get me wrong, it's really good for resetting all codes, but that doesn't fix the issue. So the problem I've got then is I end up replacing parts that I don't necessarily need to replace because this is not specific enough. So if I was to go out and buy OEM and manufactured from the manufacturer, no, you know what I mean. If I was to buy Dodge parts all the time, it would cost me an absolute fortune. So that's why I'm buying junk parts, because I would rather spend $200 worth of 10 parts than $200 worth of one part, only to find out it's the wrong part. Now, I do have a solution to this, which I'm going to reveal at the end, but first I need to fix this crank position sensor, which will be arriving shortly, hopefully. And as if by magic, here it is. Much was it? $30 or something, pretty cheap. Crankshaft position sensor from Amazon. Looks like that. Pretty easy to fit. And the old one should come out pretty easy because I only installed it like 1.5 years, 2 years ago. 10mm bolt, we'll get underneath, and quick as a flash we'll get this done, right? Need some tools, well, one tool. Let us slide underneath the truck. So this is the passenger side, or the right hand side. You shouldn't need to jack it up. There's plenty of height, as long as you get normal ride height. If you've got a lift kit, even easier. Right, let me get underneath and I'll show you what we're doing. So just above those two transmission line pipes, you can see what we're going to remove. And I can tell straight away there's a problem because there's oil coming out of that bolt. So let's just get the ratchet on and see if that's loose or if it's actually disintegrated. First thing we need to do is remove this clip. Press that bit there, you hear it click, well, hopefully, and then pull it that way and it'll come off. Tuck that out the way for now, don't want to contaminate that. Then you get a 10mm bolt, which is loose. I really hope it's just loose and not corroded away, because that would be a really poor show. We'll find out when we take it out. Now, I do have a cloth handy, but I don't think any oil is going to come out because the oil level should be down about here. If it's away up there, then there's far too much oil in it. 10mm removed. And this should just wiggle out now. Wow, it's really quite loose. Oh, there is a wee bit of oil coming out. So, what I'll do is, I'll take this out quickly and put the new one in. Hopefully it's exactly the same. looks the same. Right, let's do that. Try not to lose too much oil. I'm actually surprised there's that much oil in it, to be honest. Oops. You know what? It wasn't leaking oil, it was just oil had been sitting in the general area. Give it a little clean first then, since I've got time, before I put the new one in. Put this light back up so we can see what we're doing. Right, pop the new one in. I was maybe a wee bit nervous to over tighten this the first time, but it does have a rubber seal on it, so I guess you've got to wiggle that, make sure it's firm before you put your bolt in. It's highly possible that the reason that this triggered a fault is because it wasn't in far enough. 10mm back in. And I suppose that's what torque settings are all about, eh? You wouldn't think something this small would really require a torque setting, but if you don't get the right reading for this, then it's not going to get the right reading for the crank position. So there you go. Okay, that is tight. But then I thought it was tight the last time, so maybe I will get a wee torque wrench in that later and make sure. Put your plug back in. Clip. And it's done. Right, let's have a look at the old one. So the old sensor looks absolutely fine, which means it's probably user error. I don't think I tightened that down far enough. And this seal here wasn't going into the hole properly. So there you go. Hopefully I've done it right this time. Time to start it up. Go for a wee drive. I haven't cleared the code. Right, better get my budget scan tool and do that. Where is it? Yeah. Right, code cleared. Let's try that again. Test drive. So in case you were wondering, the symptoms before, when the crank position sensor fails, it pretty much feels like it's gone down to 4 cylinders, and it restricts your revs to about 2000 RPM. So no overtaking. You'll get home, but it feels really bad, especially at traffic lights. It's really lumpy. So hopefully we've eradicated that. And if we've not, even more reason for my plan B, which I'll explain at the end of this. So we are hoping for 0 bongs from the dash. Nice quiet dash, no lights please, that would be great. If it's still faulty, it should show a fault fairly quickly. It really shouldn't be faulty, you know, but then cheap Chinese parts. I don't imagine they've got a lot of Ram 1500s in China. Could be wrong, but I think they're into the miniature cars. Seems to be driving okay, pulling okay, no lights. I think we're good. We'll head back and I'll finally reveal my master plan. Great success for now. So what is this master plan? Let me explain. So I would love to buy one of these all singing, all dancing scan tools that the mechanics use, but we're talking £2,000 up, or at least they used to be £2,000 up. You can now get a fairly comprehensive bi-directional, I think it's called, scan tool for around $500 US, or about 600 Canadian. So that's what I've done. I have ordered the X-Tool D7, which is also capable of coding keys, which is also quite handy and could be a little sideline for me in the future. Now, part of the reason I've invested in this is obviously to diagnose everything that's wrong with the truck and get exactly the part I need. And if I know exactly the part I need, then I don't need to buy the junk part, I can buy a good quality part. The other reason is my son's BMW, which you may have seen in a previous video. I spent a lot of time getting ready for him coming back from his holidays, and it was all working great until we went on holiday up to Blue Mountain, and the poor thing broke down on the highway and I had to go and rescue him and bring it back. And anyway, it's kind of broken, and my scan tool is just, it's not even showing a code, but it's needing fixed. So Ross, my son, has contributed towards this new scan tool, and hopefully it will sort his car trouble and also any future car trouble, both in his car and the truck. So that's where we're at. I'm quite excited. That should arrive tomorrow. I'm going to plug it in and see all the codes and all the faults that are on the truck, because I'm sure there's a few that even the little cheap scan tool can't recognise. Now, I had a bit of a laugh with Will at Solar Garage, because he's always using, he's got a big fancy scan tool, and every time he plugs it in he gets a fault. So my solution was to just not plug in the scan tool, but I see the logic now. At the end of the day, I'm going to save money. At least that's the theory. Thank you again for all your continued support, without which I wouldn't be able to afford all these fancy tools. Especially my Patreon supporters, who have been very generous for the last 2 years. It's really incredible. These guys here. If you want to know what that's about, that will be patreon.com/Scott_rods. Just rolls off the tongue. If you want to help with any of the projects, link in the description below. Thanks for watching, everyone. Tomorrow will be exciting. I'll get my new scan tool and we'll see all the other things that are wrong with the truck. Bye for now.